Hello and welcome to this lesson on French verbs ending in ER in the present tense. So here are a few reasons why we'll be looking at ER verbs specifically. And the main reason is that some of the most common verbs take this form. So for example, to eat or to like something, those verbs end in ER, and so do other common verbs. And additionally, especially for beginners, these are easier to learn because the conjugation of them pretty much all follow the same pattern, and that makes it easier to learn than some of the other verb forms. So in terms of conjugating these verbs, it's relatively simple. So what you want to do is whenever you get the word, you simply have to remove the ER at the end of them and then add these endings based on the subject. So for je, you take out the ER and add an E. Same thing for il, el, ou, on. For tu, you add an ES. For il, ou, el, you add an ENT. For vous, you add an EZ. And for nu, you add an ONS. So just to reiterate, to conjugate a verb, you remove the ER from the end and then add one of these endings based on the subject. So here are some of the common verbs. So these are just some of the ER verbs. There are many more that you can find, but these are some of the more important ones. And yeah, so in terms of learning these, I'd recommend you use flashcards so that you can remember what the French word is for an English verb that you're trying to say in French. Now here is an example of a conjugated verb, and this is parler, which means to speak or to talk. And as I mentioned before, all the ER verbs, for the most part, take this form. So you'll see that I simply took out the ER and then added the ending. So for je, it's je parle. Then for il, it's il parle. For elle, it's elle parle. For nous, it's nous parlons. And for vous, it's vous parlez. And you'll notice that when you're saying these conjugated verbs for je, il, and elle, you never want to pronounce the ending of these ER verbs. For nous and vous, you do. That's why I said like nous parlons and vous parlez. But for je, il, and elle, you don't want to. And then finally, something else to remember is that I know I mentioned manger before in the list of common verbs, which means to eat. And that's going to be one of the exceptions to this conjugating rule, and it's that for nous, there's a slight difference in that you want to add, instead of an ONS, you want to add an EONS to the ending. So that's just something to consider. So thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. If you want to get more practice in, I'd suggest you make a Quizlet or flashcards with some of the most common verbs that end in ER, and make sure you study them, and then also try incorporating these in writing or in real life conversations so that you can practice conjugating them and pronouncing them as well. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Make sure to check out Project Slam in the description, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.